National audience. And here we are, another midweek service, Better Life Lessons. And tonight we're going to continue talking about planning your success. This is volume 2. We did volume 1 a couple years back, but this is volume 2 of planning your success. Now, those of you who have your Bibles, our first foundation scripture is in Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter of Deuteronomy. Praise ye the Lord. Let's go right there. This is foundation. 30th chapter of Deuteronomy, verse 19. Says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you or for you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. If you have your own Bible, underline that. Choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Now we know seed represents future. Seed represents generation. So in essence, he's saying here, the choices that you make will affect your seed or affect your future. So we're talking here the power of choice. The power of choice. And I'm stressing that because the direction of your future is based on the decisions that you make today. The direction of your future is based on the decisions you make today. I've said this before, that decisions and choices, they are seeds, and they are seeds that will show up in your future. Decisions and choices, they are seeds. You know, you don't just make a choice or a decision and nothing happens. But they are seeds, and they will show up in your future. I've said years ago that every decision you make in life, it's going to either create a door of opportunity or it's going to cause an unpleasant consequence. Every decision that you make in life is going to do one or two things. It's going to either create a door of opportunity or an unpleasant consequence. And if you really think about it, you can kind of trace that principle to every aspect of your life. If you look over your life based on the choices and the decisions that you made, it either generated an opportunity or you had to deal with a consequence. All right? And we've all made really certain decisions that turned out good and not so good. But I really believe if you really get this in you and really keep it and in your system, then you'll be careful, you'll be mindful of the decisions that you make. You'll be careful in the choices that you make. You'll think before you decide. You'll really think before you choose something. Because realizing that the decision I make is going to show up in my future. The decision I make today, it's going to either create an opportunity or it's going to cause a consequence. All right? So we got to really keep that in our system. Certain decisions, they have what I call a domino effect. You know how dominoes are? One falls, a bunch of them falls. So certain decisions has a domino effect. In other words, one good decision can trigger a flow of opportunities. You can make one good decision in life, and it can have that domino effect, and it can trigger other opportunities. Okay? But on the same token, one bad decision can trigger one bad consequence after another. You can make one bad decision, and that thing can trigger, one consequence right after another. So certain decisions has a domino effect. So now, obviously, you have the power to choose. You know, I'm kind of starting this with the power of decision. You have the power to choose. It's within your ability based on here, this scripture, it's within your ability to choose life or death, or blessing or cursing. It's also within your ability to be successful or unsuccessful. Now, if it's within my ability to choose life or death or blessing or cursing, we can likewise say it's within my ability to be successful or to be unsuccessful. I've taught this some time ago. Success is a choice. It is a choice. In other words, it's an intentional path that you choose to take. Okay? On the same token, failure or not to have success is also an intentional path that you take. Now, I'm not, and I'll get into the later, it's not saying we won't have some setbacks and certain change. That's not what I'm saying. But success is a choice, but also to be unsuccessful is a choice. That sounds like it's hard for somebody to swallow. You know, remember, it's an intentional path that you choose to take. You know, and I'm saying that because everyone basically has the same options, but the power is within what you choose to do. Basically, we have the same options, but the power is in what you choose to do. The only difference in a successful life and an unsuccessful life is a decision. Now, we may think options. Nope. It's a decision. All right? Let's go to Matthew, 7th chapter of Matthew. This is one of my favorite passages of Scripture. I've used this several times. The 7th chapter of Matthew, verse 24, Jesus says, Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken unto him as a wise man which built his house upon a rock. The rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat upon that house, but it fell not, because it was founded upon a rock. And then everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. The rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Now, reading this story, what created or what made the difference in both of these lives? Was it opportunity? Nope. Was it the storm? Nope. It was one decision. See, this is what I'm saying. The difference in success and unsuccess, it's not always about options. It's about this decision. And in this story, the only difference in these lives was a decision. One decision. One decision, a life was saved. You know, and it talks about houses, but we know it's actually referring to a person's life. So one decision, a life was saved, and another life was destroyed because of a decision. It had nothing to do with they both had the same opportunity. They both heard the same word. Had nothing to do with the storm. They both went through the same challenge. But what made the difference was the decision. See, and I say that because sometimes we can think, well, I can't be successful because, you know, this is what's going on in my life. No, that's not it. You know, I've said for years, don't think that the challenge you're facing, you're the only one on the planet has gone through it or ever went through it. See, it's not about that. The difference is decision. All right? Let's go to another story. We're still in Matthew. Let's go to the 25th chapter of Matthew. The 25th chapter of Matthew, we begin at verse 1. It says, Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried or waited, they all slumbered and slept. But then at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lights. But the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, said, Not so, nope, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather them to sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know ye not. Watch therefore, you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Once again, what made the difference? A decision. A decision. In other words, 5 decided to plan, the other 5 failed to plan. Had nothing to do, they both had the same opportunity. So 5, there's some, obviously, you're wise when you plan, and you're foolish when you don't plan. So what made the difference was a decision. The 5 wise virgins, they decided to plan. We're going to plan. We're going to get some oil. The other 5, for whatever reason, well, we ain't got to do it now. Bridegroom showed up. Then they tried to get ready at 11:59. Too late. All right? So decision. It kind of reminds me what I often say. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And this is what happened here. These first wise virgins, they planned. Like I say, same opportunity. It was 10 of them. But the 5, they planned, and the other 5, they failed to plan. And the ones who didn't plan, they got left out. All because of a decision. All right? Let's keep reading. Let's look at 14th verse. It says, For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one, we know this story, he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability, or every man according to his own ability. Okay? Then he that had received, and then straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them another 5 talents. And then likewise he that had received the 2, he also gained another 2. But he that had received the 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received the 5 talents came and brought another 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents, but behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, and now I will make thee rule over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. But behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside those. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid. You got your own Bible? Underline that, afraid. Don't underline I was afraid. Just underline afraid. And went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, thou hast, that is thine. And his Lord answered and said unto you, thou wicked and slothful, and this word slothful really means lazy, servant. Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to exchanges, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. In other words, he said the least you could have did was put it in the bank and got some interest. All right? So in verse 28 says, take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has. Now, same thing here. All three of these servants, they had the same opportunity. Same opportunity. They were given according to their own ability. You know, one was given the 5. It's not like one was more special than the other. They were given based on what they can handle. You know, and that's what God will do to us. He will give us based on what you're able to handle. You know, in other words, he gives you based on where he know you can handle this. All right? So they all had the same opportunity. They were given according to their own ability. But the difference in the first two, and the reason they got increased and got promoted, was because they made a decision. All right? In other words, the one who got the 5 talents, the one who got the 2 talents, they decided that they're going to do something with what they had. But then the one who got the 1 talent, he made a decision, he don't do nothing. See, they had the same opportunity. It's not as if the one who had the 5 talents was more gifted than the one who had the 5, the 1. Or the one who had the 2 was more gifted than the one who had the 1. That's not true. They were equally gifted based on what they were given. You know, and I want you to hear it. They were equally gifted based on what they were given. So it has nothing to do with one had more. That wasn't even the point. They were gifted equally based on what they were given. You know, in other words, where you're at, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at and where someone else is. God gives you based on what you're able to do. You know, in other words, you're supposed to be the best in where you're at. See, with this, there's no comparison. You don't have to compare. You don't have to get envious of no one. You be the best in where you're at. You perfect. If he gave you 5, hey, you work that. If he gave you 2, you work that. If he gave you 1, you work that. All right? But what made the difference was decision. And this goes back to what I said. Success is a choice. It's a choice. The release of increase is not in the hands of another. Write that down. The release of increase is not in the hands of another. It's in your hands. Right? One of the things you have to ask yourself is, what kind of decisions am I making? You know, did my last important decision help me or did it hurt me? You know, decisions are powerful. They can either make or break. All right? So now, point number 1, we kind of covered decisions and choices. So really, you have to make a choice to be successful. Because it doesn't come by chance, it comes by choice. All right? You have to make a choice to be successful. Now keep in mind, Success means different things to different people. You ask one person what does success mean, it can be something entirely different if you ask another person that. So it means different things to different people, but regardless, it must be planned. All right? And I believe most of us here, we want to live a good, successful life. Amen. And maybe not with all of us, but some of us, you already have the right tools, but I think I said it on last Sunday. Sometimes we just have to tweak something. You just have to make some adjustments. You can have the right tools, but you may need to better manage yourself. Sometimes we look for, I just need some more of this and more of that. And that's not always it. You can have the right tools, but you need to manage yourself better. All right? That's even really why self-inventory is so important. Self-inventory should really be done on a regular basis. And we know self-inventory is like kind of doing a recap or a review of your life. In other words, you have to think where I've been, where I was, where am I at right now, and where am I going? Where have I been? Where am I at right now? And where am I going? And I say that because all three of them, they connect. They connect to each other. You can only know where you're at when you know where you were. You don't know where you were, you don't know where you at. Okay? And if you don't know where you're at, you have no idea where you're going. Right? Say it again. You can only know where you're at when you know where you were. See, I only know where I'm at because I know where I was at. I know where I'm at now because of based on where I was. And since I know where I'm at, I know where I'm going. If I don't know where I'm at, I have no idea where I'm going. All right? Proverbs 27:23 says, "Be diligent to know the state of your flock and look well to your herds." In other words, it's important to know where you're at in life and even what you have. As I say, sometimes there are basic questions you have to ask yourself, and this is part of managing your life. Where am I at in life? I'm not talking about playing games with, where you think you're supposed to be, or by faith. I understand that. We're not talking about that right now. Being honest, where am I at right now? And I say that because sometimes we can get so, and I won't even call it really spiritual. We can just get so, we can be in denial. And I'm not saying we ain't taking God out of the equation. Don't misunderstand me. But you got to be careful that you don't get into denial. And in order to move forward, you got to really locate, where am I at right now? Instead of just the hoping and well, God gonna fix it and whatever. Well, fix what? What can He fix if you don't even know where you're at? That's why I said when I teach finances sometimes, I say it's always good to even know how much debt you're in. Because what if somebody came up to you and said, you know what, I'm led to get you out of debt. Tell me exactly what you owe so I can write it out. Most of us don't even know. We say, I guess around, then we'll just throw out some big number. But most folks don't know. Now, I'm not saying you may not necessarily know it to the exact penny, but you should have some idea. See, it's easy to say, well, just give me $1 million. No, he said, no, I'm not giving. Tell me exactly what your debts are. I want to pay them off. Most of us don't even know. I can take it a step further. Somebody asks, how much money do you have? You know, what do you got in your pocket? What do you got in the bank? What do you got, depending on your jobs, if IRAs and different things? What do you have? You know, what are you even worth? You know. See, I know some things could sound like that ain't no big deal, but see, remember, success is playing. You know, if you have a car, well, how much is your car worth? I'm not saying you know exact to the penny. You know, depending on what it is, if it's worth $200, it's worth $200. At least you know. But see, most folks, we don't really know. All right. So it's important to know where you're at in life and even what you have. Another self-question, you have to ask yourself, how well am I managing my life? How well am I managing my life? And then depending on who you are, you know, are you managing your life or somebody else? You know, am I really managing my life? Or is my life being managed by somebody else? You know, am I letting my kids manage my life? Or Uncle Bubba manage my life? You know. And you're the only one that should be managing your life. You know, unless you're a person who's totally mentally or physically incapacitated. No one should be managing your life but you. No one should be managing your life but you. Unless there's some issues, you know. But other than that, no one should be managing your life but you. But sad to say, there are some folk who don't want to manage their own life. I know adults who do not want to manage their own life. And one of the reasons is so that they can blame others when things don't go right. I think I taught about that last time. You know, we have to stop that blame game. And that's so easy to do sometimes. You know, if things ain't going right, instead of looking in the mirror, it's easy to blame somebody. You know, a wife can blame their husband. A husband can blame their wife. Parents blame the kids. You know, adult kids blame their parents because the parent didn't show up at the ball game when they was 12. Didn't take them to Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Didn't buy no cookies for them. You know, whatever. But and that's not saying some of these things that, you know, did not have some type of effect on one, but you got to get rid of the blame game. And really, and that's why some folks don't like managing their life, is because if things don't go right, they're easy to blame somebody. All right? Planning your success involves you taking ownership of your life. It involves you taking ownership of your life. Now, really, you know, outside of God, you have to be the captain of your life. I said, hey, God is all powerful. That's not even, I don't think we have to bring that up. But outside of God, you have to be the captain. You have to be in some control. All right? Now, I know, you know, some of us, we may have started, you know, not so good. Maybe we didn't have a good foundation to start with. But remember, it's not always how you start, but it's how you finish. See, that's why I say we can't keep using excuses of, you know, I didn't have the upbringing like so and so. I didn't have a father figure in my life, or a mother, and I didn't have this, or my husband wasn't this, or my wife. Okay, you know. And maybe the foundation was not good in the beginning. But like I say, it's not about how you start, but it's how you finish. How are you going to finish this? We know that scripturally. The race is not given to the swift, because a lot of folks start out fast, but it's the one who endures to the end. Right? Also, too, never allow past failures to stop you from having a successful future. Now, if not all of us, most of us, we have experienced some past failures. You know, and that's part of life, you know. The thing always, and I always say this, is we grow from experiences. Especially when we make mistakes and whatever, we should grow from them. Now, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, it ain't no mistake. You just being stupid. All right? But don't allow past failures to stop you from having a successful future. Because remember, the only difference in success and not having success is a decision. That is the only difference. You know, and I know sometimes you can look at it, what in your mind, what you may think a person is successful, and man, I wish I could so and so. So the only difference is a decision. It's a decision. Like I said, I know people say, well, the school into this or that. That's only a small part of it. Because especially nowadays, you know, this is a whole different environment than it was 50 years ago. You know, we have access to all kinds of knowledge you can get like that. You got a computer, you can get knowledge from around the world. So at this point, none of us have an excuse. You know, 50 years ago, maybe you had to go to Harvard. You don't have to do that now. You can sit in Harvard in your own home on your computer. And I'm not knocking schooling, don't misunderstand me, but none of us have an excuse. Because there's a wealth of knowledge out there. No one has an excuse to not know how to read. My mama didn't teach me how to teach you. This ain't, trust me, this ain't 50 years ago. The technology we have now, you all know it, you can just about learn how to do anything. Anything. Right? So remember, the only difference in success and not having success is a decision. Now, why do I keep stressing that? Because you have to decide that you want to have and you want to live a successful life. You have to decide. You don't decide it, it's not going to happen. You have to really make that decision that I want to live a successful life. And like I say, success is defined by different people. You know, it can mean something to you and something to someone else. You know, but overall, success means good. You know. When depending on what you're talking about being successful in, it eliminates a lot of struggling. All right. So you have to decide that you want to have and live a successful life. Now, one of the enemies to planning your success is procrastination. Procrastination. Procrastination is defined as putting off or delaying, especially something requiring immediate attention. See, when you procrastinate, that's not just saying, okay, I'm not going to do that right now. I don't need to do that right now. Procrastination really means you are totally putting something on, or you're delaying something that really needs you to deal with it right away. That's what procrastinating is. It's not just saying, oh, I can wait to do this. It's you are delaying or putting off something that needs your attention. All right? And that is an enemy to planning your success. Now, there are a few reasons why people procrastinate. 3 of the top reasons are fear, laziness, and a mismanaged life. Now, generally, when a person, when they procrastinate, is because They're either afraid to move forward or afraid to proceed with something, or they're lazy, or their life is out of order. In other words, if your life is out of order, you're just all over the place. You know, there's an expression we used to use years ago when they call a person a jack of all trades but master none. You don't want to be a jack of all trades. You don't want to be all over the board. You know, I know how to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Let's master something. You know, don't think that that's so wonderful that you know how to do a little bit of everything. I don't want to know how to do a little bit. I want to master something. There's no success because you know how to bake a little bit. Success comes as you a master baker. All right. So now there are three areas in that: in procrastinating, fear, laziness, mismanaged life. You can make note of this. Proverbs 10:4 says, "He becomes poor who works with a slack and idle hand." He becomes poor who works with a slack and idle hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Then Proverbs 13:4 says, "The appetite of the sluggard," sluggard is a lazy person or a slothful person, just like that servant who had the one talent, who hid the money and didn't do anything. The master called him slothful, but it's like sluggard or lazy. So Proverbs 13:4 says, "The appetite of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the appetite of the diligent is abundantly supplied." Then Proverbs 20:4 says, "The sluggard does not plow or does not work when winter sets in. Therefore he begs in harvest and has nothing." That's interesting. The sluggard does not plow or does not work when winter sets in. Therefore he begs when harvest comes, but has nothing. In other words, that just kind of means don't expect to enjoy a harvest in the next season when you didn't work in this season. And that's what some folk do. When harvest comes next season, they got their hand out begging. But you don't have a right to anything because you didn't do anything in the previous season. You know, a farmer has no right to expect the crop when he sowed no seed in the season before. All right? Now there's another question. Why do some people beg? Well, they beg because they have nothing. Now, why don't they have anything? Because they didn't do anything. Ain't nothing deep about that. You know, and we know, and I know our heart try to go out to some people, they beg. Well, what's the reason they beg? Because they don't have anything. Well, why don't they have anything? Because they didn't do anything. Some of y'all getting it, some of y'all ain't. There's a reason why one has nothing. See, keep in mind what we're going back to what we said before. Success is a choice. It's a path that you take. To be unsuccessful is also a choice, and it's a path that you take. So if I always have nothing, and I'm always begging, I chose to do that. You see, rewards don't come from doing nothing. They come from doing something. Rewards do not come from doing nothing. They come from doing something. You know, sometimes folks think, I deserve. Well, what did you do? What have you done? You know, if you did nothing, then you don't get nothing. There is no reward in doing nothing. Rewards come when you do something. You know, isn't that verse say if a man don't work, he don't eat? And it don't finish up with, well, what a shame. If he don't work, he don't eat, but still feed him. Don't say that. Rewards don't come for doing nothing. Rewards come for doing something. Not nothing. All right? Remember, success isn't automatic, it's systematic. Write that down. It's not automatic, it's systematic. What I mean by that is you become successful by applying a system. All right? Now, let's go back to the enemy of procrastinating before we wrap this up. One of the bad things about procrastinating, when you procrastinate, you waste time and you lose time. And as a result, you miss opportunities. Okay? Putting off what should have been done today for tomorrow is a missed opportunity. Put stuff off that should have been done today, but tomorrow you missed opportunity. I think I talked before, and I'll get into it probably next week, about the power of time. Time is what I call, it's really priceless. And you have to learn how to value your time and not waste it. Yeah. And I mean wasting your time doing things that's not profitable. Sometimes you got to not even waste your time with some people. Now, I know as a leader, I talk to some people and I'm trying to give answers and help, but then when a person just there to just load off on me, I'm finished. You just want to load on somebody, call a toll-free number. I don't know, not me. See, because I value my time. See, because at this stage, the last few years, I refuse to allow anybody to waste my time. I don't care who it is. Because I help. I'm here to help give you answers. If you just here to shoot the breeze and just dump your problems on me, I will walk away. Now, somebody will take problems like that. It's called a psychiatrist when you pay them $200 for 30 minutes or more. Right? So whenever you put off what should be done today for tomorrow is a missed opportunity. Most procrastinators, they rarely complete things. People who procrastinate, they really don't complete things. And if they do, it was long overdue. Person who procrastinate, they rarely do. They rarely complete things. But when they do, it should have been completed in yesteryear. I didn't say yesterday, yesteryear. Right? If you procrastinate in important matters, you have to ask yourself and be honest. Like I said, there are 3 areas in procrastination: fear, laziness, mismanagement. But you have to ask yourself and be honest to see if you're either one of those. If you're afraid, or if you're lazy, or if you're not managing your life well. And you may have to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And believe it or not, there are some folks who are really afraid of being successful. Be for different reasons: peer pressure, family, friends, whatever. They don't want to be looked upon as a certain way. Some people are really, the person be working on the job and promotion time can come and they don't want the promotion. Some folks don't even want to be the boss because they don't want people to view them how people view the boss. So sometimes you have to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Sometimes it can come from maybe you heard some bad success stories or some bad experiences or whatever. Now, the main thing, especially those of us who are believers, we have to get rid of all fear. As a believer, as a Christian, we're not supposed to tolerate fear, because if you tolerate fear in one area, it is going to affect other areas of your life. So I tell a person, whatever you have a fear in something, you better get rid of it. See, because there's no such thing as you're fearful about one thing and it's going to stay that way. You keep tolerating fear in one area, it will spread into other areas. Okay? So never tolerate fear, because it will show up in other areas in your life. Also, too, don't be afraid of change. Success does mean change. Right? And you have to embrace change when you're planning your success. And once again, some folks are afraid of change. Because people get comfortable with where they at. And then we'll fool ourselves. I'm okay. And deep down, you're not. But it does involve change. Especially good change. There's nothing wrong with change. It's a funny thing. Entertainers do it all the time. They call it reinventing themselves. Entertainers do it all the time. That's why you have some entertainers, I ain't gonna mention their names, but who's been around 30, 40 years. They just reinventing themselves all that. They ain't afraid of change. You got some of them, my gosh, I heard they having another concert, rock and roll band. All of them are in their 70s and they selling out. Go figure. And they've been singing for over 50 years. Go figure that out. So never be afraid of change. Success does mean change. You have to embrace change when you're planning your success. Also, too, I learned some time ago, you have to resist the fear of failure. Sometimes folks, I don't want to do that because I might fail. Well, success, it does involve taking risks. And I'm going to deal with that next week. It does involve taking risks. But the thing is, you can't have that fear of if this don't work out. And I've said for years, okay, say if this don't work, but what if it does? I'd rather, to say I've tried and just say if it didn't work out, than to be afraid to have tried. That's why I applaud every business owner here, entrepreneur, and it's a work to do, but I applaud you because that takes courage to try and do it, while others sit back on the side afraid to. All right? And we'll deal with that next week about involving risk. Second reason for procrastination is laziness. Now, most folk do not want to think of themselves as being lazy. And somebody say, I ain't lazy. Now, see, because when we think lazy, we thinking of one thing, but laziness is really, it's manifested in different ways. Being lazy doesn't mean you do nothing. It's because sometimes we have a picture in our mind of a person who's lazy. They just lay around, sit around, they don't do nothing. No, that's not necessarily a complete manifestation of being lazy. You can have a job, get up every morning, and still be lazy. It's just like a person bound by alcohol or drugs. We think of a person who's strung out on dope and strung out of this, that. Then we get a picture in our head like they some drunk on the street or they strung out on drugs on the street. Oh, a lot of them got jobs. They are functioning, but they are still dope addicts and still alcoholics. So one can still get up in the morning, punch the clock 9 to 5, but still be lazy. All right? Now the thing with that, lazy people, what they do is they lack creativity. They lack imagination. Lazy folk don't like to think. Most times lazy folk only do what's required. Like I said, you can have a job 9 to 5, but you watching that clock, whew, man, I can't wait till you ready to punch at 5. That's all I'm required. I ain't doing 30 seconds more. They only do what's required. Lazy people, they only think of the quickest way to do something instead of the best or the most effective way to do something. See, when you lazy, you trying to be in and out. What's the fastest way I can do this? Instead of thinking the best way to do it. Because it takes thinking to be effective. So let's get once again, then it ain't no put down. You know, sometimes you got to ask yourself. Like I said, by nature, none of us want to say we lazy, because I get up every morning and work. But lazy comes in different manifestations. It's not just a person who does nothing. Are you creative? Do you use your imagination? You know, and whatever it is you do, you know, are you trying to be effective or are you just trying to quickly get it over with? Third thing, and we're going to be done. Mismanaged life. What is the order of your life on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? I won't even get into a year, but you know, what is the order of your life? Are you a planner? Do you plan ahead of time? Or are you what I like to call that 11:59 person? Yeah. And you have to ask yourself, do you really have a grip on your life? You know, what's the order? Do you really have structure and order to your life? You know, in other words, can you, you know, if someone was going to come in and be you for a week, can you do you have some structure to say this is what I do, this is what I do, this is how I do it, so and so pretty much to the T? A lot of folk don't. Well, you know, I do this when, if this, or maybe this might not, but depends on how I feel. Now, I mentioned Proverbs 27 and 23. Let's go to that, and I'm going to end this. The 27th chapter of Proverbs, verse 23. It says, "Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flock, and look well to thy herds." Be diligent. Be diligent. See, that involves some time. You know, think about it. Be diligent. Don't that's trying to do something quickly, microwave. See, some of us stop trying to microwave your life. You know, I was sharing this a few days ago with Pastor Laura. Thank God for the microwave. But the microwave is not designed to just dismiss the oven. It has its proper place. Don't misunderstand it. But it's not designed to just dismiss the other. See, we've got to stop trying to microwave our life. You know, this is your life. Put some time in it. Stop trying to, skip steps, skip the process. All right. So it says, "Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flock." So once again, you got to ask yourself, do you really know where your life is right now? Do you really? See, and only you can answer that. No one can answer it for you. Other folk, they can guess based on what they see. And sometimes with that's based on what we show people. Because what we show is not always what's actually true. And I always say, listen, hey, always be honest with yourself. Don't fool yourself. People's perception is based on, whatever. But don't kid yourself. So, do you really know where your life is right now? Do you know where you're heading? And I'm not talking about just saying something that sounds good and right. Yeah, Pastor, I'm on my way to, okay, all right. How you going to get there? What is the plan to get there? See, because it's easy for a person to say, yeah, I'm going to be a billionaire. Okay, how you going? What's the plan to get there? Or you millionaire? Are you a nickel heir now? First, quarter heir. Then we move to a dollar heir. $10 heir, $20, whatever. See, when I'm saying that, because we can do that. We like, I'm going. Now, what is the plan to get there? I'm just going, and I'm going to let the Lord. See, I learned years ago. Yeah, the Lord will, but you got to always give the Lord something to work with. Because the Lord is not going to come down here and make you do something. They don't work like that. He never goes against one's will. But you got to give him something to work with. I've always said one of the ways that releases favor is what? Preparation meets opportunity. Sometimes opportunity can present itself, but we can miss out on the favor because we didn't prepare. Okay? So, do you know where you're really at in life right now? Do you know where you're headed? How well are you really managing your own life? And that goes in all aspects. How well are you managing your life spiritually? Mentally? Now spiritual, we know we come to church, study in the Word and different things and meditate and all of that. But how well are you managing your thoughts? How well are you managing yourself mentally? I don't care who you are. Everybody needs a time. Kids call it time out. Pastor April says a me time. Everybody needs that. Sometimes you just need to just kind of sit, reflect, and collect your thoughts. And manage yourself mentally. Because we are in a fast-paced world that's constantly moving. So you have to be able to manage yourself mentally. Okay? How well are you managing yourself physically? That's a whole lesson. But see, the thing about it, that all works together. See, when we're talking about managing your life and being, we got to deal with all aspects. If I'm not managing myself physically, that's going to affect other things. If I'm physically abusing myself, it affects me mentally. Yes, it does. Sometimes folks they're physically dissatisfied with themselves. And it can create depression and all sorts of things. So I got to manage my life.